I was just watching this documentary on YouTube about the phone hacking scandal that happened in the like 2010, I think it was, when it came out. About it had been going on for years and years. The Sun and the News of the World, Rupert Murdoch's media empire that had been hacking people's phones, the phones of celebrities and politicians and people that had been murdered. There was a young girl murdered, Millie Dowler, and they hacked her phone, and her parents gave evidence at the inquiry, and said that her mum said that she phoned her daughter's phone. I think she was still missing at the time. It hadn't been confirmed that she'd been murdered, and it went through to voicemail, and her mum got really kind of elated, thinking, oh, she's alive, she's picking up her voicemails, because I think they'd been full at that point, and then these people had been hacking them and listening to them, and then it cleared space. It's just fucking disgusting when you think about that poor woman. Her child's been murdered, and she has that little glimmer of hope because these bastards are hacking a dead kid's phone. They're fucking sick. This this the only people that got convicted for this, as far as I know, are nobody at the papers. I think it was only some private investigators who the papers were paying, the journalists and the Rupert Murdoch's empire. Basically, I don't want to use religion in this, but we all know who runs the kind of upper echelons of society, don't we? It's all kind of the one group of people. None of them were convicted. I think there was only a few private investigators that were convicted, and I think the longest sentence given out was 18 months to a guy, and I think he served 5 months. Another couple of people were given 6 months, and out of the 6 months jail sentence that they got, they served a month. So there was nobody was convicted. No one really got punished for doing this when you think of the sickness of it. And this still goes on today. There was evidence given at the Leveson inquiry that the police were being paid for information, to get information off the police computers to take part in, to participate in this, as were members of the health service. There were people's celebrities. Medical records were revealed, so people within the NHS and the care sector, they were paid, they were on the payroll of the media giving information. There was people in the military that were found to be given information. Of course, this never comes out, it will never be revealed. It's just a few scapegoats at the bottom, private investigators that kind of got a little short slaps on the wrist, really. That's all they got for their part in it. But all the people at the top that were taking bribes, and that's the problem, isn't it? It's the 1%, the elites of the world that pay the police and the military and pay the people that have access to all this information. They give them money to gain this information, and nothing ever happens. It's all kept very hush hush because the inquiry was run by the same people who are doing the hacking and who are doing the bribing and who are involved in the corruption. It's all kept within the same kind of society, the same people that are all involved. All 33,000 of them, or however many there is. But yeah, I found it interesting when I was watching this that they kind of brought up the fact that Stephen Lawrence, a man, I think he was a boy actually, I don't think he was a man, who was murdered in London years ago, and I think maybe not his phone, but the phone of his parents was part of this, that were involved in hacking. They were hacking fucking everyone, and they're still doing it today. I have no doubt about it. They just managed to keep it a bit more hush hush because this came out in the 2010 or whatever it was. So it's still going on today. It's just much more. They're doing it much more covertly today, but it's still going on. I mean, I'm a nobody, and my fucking phone's hacked, as you've all seen from my videos. They have total control of my phone. If I'm watching something on YouTube and I put it on full screen, it'll come up half a screen, and I know that they're in my phone at that time and they're watching everything that I'm doing. They're watching everything that I'm doing at all times. The internet within this building that I connect to is an internet that nobody else uses. It's just so they can keep an eye on what I'm doing. There's a lot of fraudulent Wi-Fi signals that are around here, and sometimes they show up and sometimes they don't, depending on how fast I click on what network's available. The fact my phone to fuck, it's they watch everything I do, and I'm a nobody, I'm a nothing, so they're doing this to me, then they're doing it to millions and millions of people. But yeah, sorry, the Stephen Lawrence's parents were found to have had, I believe, their phone hacked, or Stephen Lawrence's phone was hacked. And it made me think about my video the other day where I was talking about the guy in the house, and he was talking about Laura. He'd said the name Lawrence 3 times, and I kind of attributed it to Claudia Lawrence. And now it makes me think, oh, was he maybe meaning Stephen Lawrence, someone who got murdered? But it's the same threat, isn't it? You're going to go missing or you're going to get murdered. So it's the same threat that they're using. They use these names, these little kind of subliminal threats to kind of threaten you without threatening you. I found it interesting as well that I've just realised this morning. I kind of looked on the news, which I do occasionally, even though it's a load of bullshit. Um, that the recent storm was called Storm Claudia. I had no idea of that when I spoke about Claudia Lawrence the other day. But anyway, you should all watch this phone hacking scandal. This documentary about it's only a month old, but the scandal, well, I mean, the scandal's ongoing, isn't it, for everyone in the know? They're doing this permanently. The police, the military are giving all this information. The people that are involved in stealing my house, a criminal network that I think now they're originally from Scotland or Ireland, and they're now based in Dubai. They pay the police. They pay the police for all the information that they're getting, and pay the police to search the police computers for all the information that they want. And the police are in their pockets, aren't they? They're on the payroll, and I don't know how much of a wage the police earn, but there's a lot of greedy people in the world whose morals go out the window when there's money on the table, isn't there? But I recommend that you watch this documentary. It's very interesting, although it's it just kind of, when I watch things like this, it just continues to make me annoyed because I know that nothing's changed given that this happened, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and everything's exactly the same as it is now. So, yeah, interesting. You should watch it if you're interested in that type of thing. Take care. God bless.